In New York, and we are not talking at all about the Jets' overtime win over the New York Giants, but rather what is happening with their quarterback situation. Their second-round pick, Geno Smith, he was picked off 3 times in his first home start. But then Mark Sanchez entered the game with 11 minutes to go, and he took a beating in his 2 drives. He was out there getting pummeled by a bunch of the New York Giants and ended up with an injured throwing shoulder. This one leveled him to the turf. This one knocked him out of the game. He is currently having x-rays. Head coach Rex Ryan will be meeting the media momentarily. In the meantime, you guys, Kurt Warner, LaDainian Tomlinson, Chris Rose here with you tonight on NFL Network. You question the move to even put him into the game. Is there any reason why he should have been in with 11 minutes to go?
I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out, kind of racking my brain, because the one reason that you get starters out of games early is because you're mixing different guys in, guys that haven't played, guys that haven't seen things, and you don't want your starters to get injured. And so after Geno Smith struggles, you have to assume that the Jets are leaning towards Mark Sanchez. So why insert him late in the fourth quarter, halfway through the fourth quarter? I can't figure it out. I can't fathom what they were going to gain by putting him in, even if he goes in and has success against third-string guys, for the other team. And what does that do for your team, or what kind of confidence, or what does that show you about Mark Sanchez that you didn't already know?
Yeah, and the Jets talk about having a fair competition. And I understand a fair competition being that Mark Sanchez played last week. Geno Smith, this is his opportunity to show what he can do with the first-team offense. So why put Mark Sanchez in the fourth quarter? Now, if you're going to put Mark Sanchez in, put him in after halftime.
Exactly.
Geno Smith has already thrown 3 interceptions at that point. Put Mark Sanchez in.
Right. Or don't play him at all. If you decide to go with Geno longer because he needs more reps because he struggled in the first half, no problem. Right. You got a veteran guy that you say, okay, we're not going to play this week. We'll get you a little bit of time next week, depending on what our decision is. But why put him in so late?
All right, well, let's find out. Head coach of the New York Jets, Rex Ryan, at the podium.
Turnovers is exactly what we stressed from day one. That they're not in there till they're in there. And in a way, it's more TV time for you. And that's the way you have to hit the field. And I was proud of the way the defense responded. But as a team, I was just happy, we got that opportunity in overtime to play some more football. And I was pleased with that. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Rex, how about your overall review on Geno?
Well, obviously there were some good moments and there were some low moments. The interceptions, the ball was a little behind the intended receiver, and then he overshot the one that the young man playing center field, and he does a great job of that. He broke on it, made a nice play, and then Tuck. I mean, you got to tip your hat to him. It was a great play. Disguised it well. Defensive end drops back into coverage in a trap coverage, and he just made a great play on it. So, so obviously he had his moments where he threw the ball extremely well, but there's some things he's got to take and learn from this.
Rex, whose decision was it to bring Sanchez in?
That was my decision. That's coach's decision all the way. That was my decision. You're talking about competing. You're trying to all week you're talking about winning a game and competing, and that was my decision.
Was that a last-second decision because it looked like Mark didn't expect to go in, and Sims was talking to Mark before Mark crashed?
Yeah, that was my decision. Like I say, it was my decision all the way. That he went in. He was 5 of 6 passing. He looked decent. Obviously, he had the fumble, but then the unfortunate injury. But that was my decision for him to go in the game.
Why risk an injury in the fourth quarter of a preseason game?
Well, why compete? Period. You can put them out there with guys. We're there to win. We had our starters that starting offense out there for 3 quarters because we're trying to win the game, and that was what we wanted to do. We're going to leave our guys out there, but we're trying to compete, and everybody's out there. Injuries are part of the game, and obviously we'll see the severity of Mark's injuries and others as well. But you can get hurt in practice, you can get hurt in different things. Obviously, it never worked out the way we wanted it to, certainly. But we're here to compete.
Rex, and how come the other first stringers, other than Sanchez, weren't in there in the fourth quarter?
Well, again, it was the way the game went. We left Geno in there for 3 quarters, and then when we had a chance to put Mark in. That was, I was wanting to play Mark, and that's.
You're competing for the win. Why wouldn't you have all your starters?
Well, again, I had Mark in there. I was going to leave him. Probably extended the the ones out there maybe even a little longer than I wanted. But we had them into the third quarter. It's generally what we do. And as it worked out, we played them the whole time. But, again, it's my decision. And, we're going to compete. We said we're going to compete and watch that competition, in equal competition. That's what we wanted to try to get to. And again, it's, I understand being second guessed and all that type of stuff when an injury happens. Certainly I understand that. But that's football.
Player Sims?
What's that?
Player Sims.
Excuse me? No, the player Sims? Okay. Well, I thought he played good. He was up and down and things, but, he had 6 of 10, I'm looking at here, 135 quarterback rating, so he's done some good things. And coming here to play the Giants, I think obviously was big for him. The play of his dad was pretty dang good for a number of years also.
Rex, when we decide on starting quarterback?
Well, like we said from day one, whenever we think the appropriate time is, we'll make that call.
Do you think you need to see more?
Yeah, well, he wishes he had frozen a little bit earlier in that press conference. I didn't understand it. Can you guys make heads or tails out of what he just said? He goes, we're trying to win in the fourth quarter, but by our count, Mark Sanchez was the only Jets possible starter out there in the game. Does it make any sense to you?
No, I mean, it didn't clear anything up for me. I mean, it seemed like he was hiding behind the fact that we're going to compete and we're going to try to win. And
that it was his decision.
And that's the way, is that you're going to compete and you're going to win. But there are certain times in preseason games where you compete to win with certain guys. And it's not your starters in the middle of the fourth quarter, because you don't have guys out there that they're comfortable with, guys out there that have played a lot that you feel safe in. The one thing you try to avoid is you get people reps, but you don't want to get guys injured. And so to put a guy in that is either competing for your starting job or has won your starting job at that point in the game, I don't understand. Again, I don't understand what they were trying to get from that. What was Mark going to prove? What were they going to, have solidified at the middle of the fourth quarter? If he goes in and plays great, what do they say? Well, it was the fourth quarter of a game. It doesn't really tell us anything. If he goes in there and doesn't play well, does that give you the ability to keep it? I don't know what they were trying to accomplish, and that definitely didn't clear it up.
Well, what was confusing to me is he said we played our starters up through the third quarter, but yet and still Mark Sanchez was out there in the fourth. So are you considering him not your starter at this point? Did Rex already go into this game deciding who his starting quarterback was going to be?
I don't know.
That's what's interesting to me.
All right, all I can tell you is that Rex has officially defrosted. And so let's see. The head coach of the New York Jets, Rex Ryan.
Well, again, that's an assumption on your part. It's, so, again, hey, I'm not, I can understand, that's your assumption. But, there's only, this team will make the call on a starting quarterback when we think it's appropriate. And we said that from day one. So, to me, obviously we talked about the competition, and that was something that I thought was important. If it wasn't important, then I wouldn't have put him in there. I would not have put Mark in if it wasn't important.
Geno Smith still has a chance to be the week one starter.
Hey, again, we're going to compete all the way through.
Is that a yes or a no, Rex? Does he have a chance?
Hey, I'll make that call.
I'm just asking. Does he have a chance?
I don't have to answer a question. I answer it the way I said. And from day one, I said, we will make the announcement of a starting quarterback when we think it's the appropriate time. Not when this person or this person or this person. Now, maybe that person, but that's about it.
But you can't even say that he has a chance.
I can say anything I want. That's the beauty of this country. I can answer it 100 times. Here, I'll stand backwards and answer the question. I'm going sideways. At the appropriate time, we'll make that the announcement when I think it's the appropriate time.
Rex, so the last question.
Yes, Brian.
I understand wanting to compete. But did you have any reservations with Mark? Obviously, he's still competing for the starting quarterback job. You're 2 weeks away. Do you have any reservations putting him out there behind the second team line, which is a mix of rookies, some guys who might not be on this team in a week? Did you have any reservations about that?
Well, after the injury, you always have reservations about, but we're competing. To sit up here and say, and I tell them our players, we're trying to compete to win this game, period. And, and that was it. And Mark was throwing the ball well, and that's it. But if a guy gets injured, you can say the same thing. I wish Crow wasn't out there. He bothered his hip. But we'll see. Like I say, and hopefully that the severity of the injuries, aren't too serious.
Rex, Mark seemed surprised when he went in. He warmed up very quickly. It looked like he thought Sims was going in. So, was he
again, Rich, I said that was my call. I wanted to go with Mark.
I'm asking you, was Mark told before the game that you're not playing?
I doubt that very much.
He acted like he was
Well,
surprised.
again, he wasn't told that from me. And since I made the decision, that was probably the one he should have listened to. Go ahead, Sal.
Mark had an X-ray on the shoulder. Do you not know what the result of the X-ray is?
Again, we know he's got a shoulder injury. The severity of it, we do not know yet.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Okay.
That was entertaining. Nothing else, I guess. I mean, moving backward to the media, sideways. Yeah. I still don't.
I still don't know what we were trying to accomplish by having him in, but I don't know. Didn't clear a whole lot up to me.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, it definitely entertained.
But how ironic is it now that perhaps the one guy who could have saved Rex Ryan's job in Mark Sanchez, he might be injured because of a decision that Rex Ryan made?
Well, I mean, that's the way the ball falls sometimes, when injuries. And he said it. He said injuries are a part of the game. And I think the most confusing thing to me is we didn't get why Mark Sanchez was in the game.
Right, we never got
whether it was to compete or did he just feel like he wanted to
Right.
Mark Sanchez to gain confidence.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm lost for words.
And he mentioned competing. And there's something to the fact that every time you step on the field, you want to win and you want to compete. But bottom line in preseason games is that you're competing for week one. And that's what you have to think, whether you're a head coach, a player. The goal is to compete week one through week 16, not get out of every preseason game with a win. I mean, you love to win, but that's not the ultimate goal. So when you're talking about competing, this time period is to get ready to compete week one. And again, that's why I don't understand if a guy's in a position to be your starting quarterback, and it looked highly likely that he was going to be that guy, that you place him in a situation like that and expose him with other guys that aren't at the same level, in the same place that he is.
All right, I know that it's always next man up. I get that in the NFL locker room, but you have played for this man. Is it possible that tonight he lost some of the veterans based on when he put Mark Sanchez in and then thus put him in harm's way to some degree?
It's possible. I don't think it's very likely because Rex Ryan is a guy that the guys really love as a coach, And, here's the thing. Every coach is going to make decisions that players don't agree with. That's just going to be the nature of the business. Our job as players is to play no matter what. Now, there's going to be guys that question, why was Mark Sanchez in? And that's, I don't like that decision. But at the same time, he's the boss. He's the head coach. He's going to make the decisions, and we have to play.
And you don't put guys in expecting him to get injured.
No,
but the funny thing is in preseason,
right,
that's the first and foremost thing on your mind is can we get to week one with everybody healthy? But again, I think my biggest question is what were we trying to get out of this? What could we gain from putting Mark in at that situation that's going to help us in week one of the regular season? And I can't figure out what that is.
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing that could have been gained by Mark Sanchez being in the game at that time.
And Mark Sanchez will probably play the good soldier because he has throughout this entire competition and everything that has happened to him. He'll stand in front of his locker and say, hey, listen, when the coach tells me to play, I'm going to go play. Yeah. But in the back of his mind, he's got to be sitting there thinking, why in the world am I finally getting off the bench with 11 minutes to go?
Yeah. And I'll do you one better, Chris. When you look at Mark Sanchez's body language when he first went into the game, that told me, you know what, I really don't want to be out here with these guys. Mm-hmm. For him to be out there at that point, I don't think he wanted to be in the game. His body language said he didn't want to be in the game, and I think it was a bad decision.
Now it's his body that's saying I might not be able to play at all this year. Once again, it's a shoulder injury. They don't know the severity of it. We'll obviously find out about it perhaps as early as Sunday. In the meantime, there is still one game going on. That would be